Detroit in 313. We are back. Steve and Will talking that Detroit Lions football. Before we move any further, you know what to do. That little red button down there, bang that button, and don't forget the bell icon so you don't miss any of our new content. Steve, what are we talking about?
If I were to put out a survey for a player that someone has mentioned in comments on previous videos, the leader of that survey would be Keon Coleman, former Michigan State Spartan wide receiver. Did the right thing, transferred out, moved to Florida State, had a nice little season for Florida State, a real nice season. So we're a Detroit Lions show here. We're going to talk about how Keon Coleman would fit on the Detroit Lions if that's a pick somewhere along the lines of the NFL draft. Will, how do you feel about Mr. Coleman from, I'm not going to try to say the birthplace, somewhere he was born in Louisiana, but I first looked up his profile and I was like, there's no way I can say Opelousas, Louisiana.
Huh. I'm not. I don't know what it is, so I can't speak to it. I'm just gonna roll with that being good.
Yeah, I'll call it good. How do you feel about Keon Coleman?
Keon Coleman. If you're telling me that I could get Keon Coleman in the second round, I would love to have Keon Coleman on my team. Or is that what you're saying? Keon Coleman in the second round?
No, I personally don't want Keon Coleman in the 22nd round. If I'm being honest,
what?
If I'm being honest,
are you out of your mind?
I'm just calling it out. I see it. You know what kills me? I love everything about Keon Coleman. And no, just because I'm sitting here wearing a Michigan football shirt, it has had nothing to do with his Michigan State history. I love everything he does. I love how he high points the football. I love that he's 6'3", we'll call it 215. I like his hand size. I like all the measurables. That 40 time is not nice to look at.
Steve, I thought we've talked about this. The 40 time, and excuse me while I'm looking up some other stats, but the 40 time is not indicative to playing the game of football. It does not mean if you run a 4.140, doesn't mean you're going to be a good football player. Usain Bolt is not a good football player.
Well, he's never played football. I don't even know if they have football where he lives. So
yeah, he's tried. He talked about coming out for the Dallas Cowboys. He is not a football player. Speed does not mean that you're going to be a good football player. Now, it's nice to have. It's nice to have. But it is not indicative to being a phenomenal football player. So, with that being said, I was trolling earlier about Keon Coleman even being a second rounder. Now, could I see Keon Coleman at the beginning of the second round? Absolutely. Could I see him sneaking just like a ninja, just creeping into the back half of that first round? I absolutely could. I think that the dude is a beast. The dude gives me Mike Evans vibes. I'm going to be honest. So Keon Coleman to me, man, I think is going to be an absolute dog. If you're telling me that I had Keon Coleman at X receiver, I would be beyond overjoyed about it. But as I look through my draft board, there is roughly 300 names that I have ahead of him, unfortunately.
Ahead of who? Keon Coleman?
Keon Coleman.
300?
Roughly 300. No, I'm just joking. No. But there is no joke, man. As I look at my super secret draft board that you don't even know about, you probably put 2 and 2 together.
I know where you live. I could break in there and steal that draft board anytime I want.
But that being said, as I look through my board, he's on my board. But there's quite a few guys that are ahead of him on my board. But if you're asking me, do I think that Keon Coleman stepping into that role of Josh Reynolds at the X receiver, would he be an upgrade? The answer is I don't care if he ran a 4.940. Have you seen what that dude does on the football field?
Oh, yeah.
That has nothing to do with high point in that football. That has nothing to do with big body and people. That has nothing to do with that red zone. And Steve, we're talking about guys like Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua ran a 4.5, almost 4.6 40, and his production is unquestioned. All right, just an absolute monster out there last year. Right. On top of that, Mr. Keon Coleman has the same 10-yard as Justin Jefferson. So maybe that top end second half of the 100-meter dash isn't there. Who cares? When it comes to that red zone, he is going to do what he's done in college, which is catch touchdown and be a big body that needs to be accounted for. And that's all I want out of him. We already got a guy.
William, can I throw something at you?
Talk to me.
I'm gonna throw these numbers at you.
Talk to me.
Does the numbers 4.62 mean anything to you?
Yeah. Yeah, they
What,
do.
what does that mean to you?
That means when you run a 40-yard dash, they
Hey,
take a sundial out.
yeah.
There
Okay.
you go.
Yeah. That was Tease Tabor's 40-yard dash time was 4.62.
Yeah.
Tease Tabor looks
one of
like
the
the
greatest
Flash.
cornerbacks in history.
Looks like the Flash compared to Keon Coleman. Now, you're right. He does a lot of other things really well on a football field. And thank God we have an elite offensive line with Pro Bowlers loaded and Jared Goff, because he's going to need a lot of time waiting on Keon Coleman to get down the field
He's not.
to make a play. Because I think he's going to have to stop for a hot dog along the way with how slow he runs.
No. There's other ways to get open than just pure speed. If you watch Keon Coleman, he has no problem stacking DBs. Right. And you're not just going to be physical with him off of the line of scrimmage. He's a guy that's going to be able to immediately be able to block in the run game. He reminds me of George Pickens in a sense of every now and then you just see him physically manhandling these DBs like they're little children out there. I think Keon Coleman would be a baller for the Detroit Lions. I think he would absolutely fit for the Detroit Lions. Just unfortunately, just me being a little bit sarcastic and a little bit extra saying that I got 300 guys, but I do have about 5 to 6 guys that I want ahead of Keon Coleman. But do I think that he would fit like a glove? 100%. Even when I'm talking about guys like a Donnie Mitchell and a Xavier Liggett, do I think that Keon Coleman could maybe be a better fit because of his skill set? Absolutely. J-Mo's fast. We got a fast guy, a super unbelievably fast guy already. Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's a guy that can fit into those zones and just be a smart headsy IQ guy running underneath. We got Sam Laporta. We don't have that big body X receiver that can go up and catch that football and beyond talking about you got mossed on Monday mornings. So, I mean, like, what are we talking about? Keon Coleman fits like a glove into our offense. If something happens and they took all 87 of the other guys that I want ahead of him, I would be like, man, this offense just got another weapon. And maybe it went from a top 5 offense to the number 1 offense in the National Football League. But again, I think that we have some other priorities that we should address. However, if we were living in a world where you told me that Brad selected Keon Coleman, I would be like, man, okay, I get it. I'm interested to see what we do at pick 61 and pick 73 now. Yeah. All right, we must, but hey.
I'm not trolling. I'm legit being honest when I say that Keon Coleman was the slowest wide receiver at the 2023 NFL Combine or 2024 NFL Combine. It's not close. It's not close.
Steve.
The second slowest time was Johnny Wilson, his teammate. I don't know what they're doing down there in Florida State.
Johnny Wilson is a tight end.
I give him a little slack because he's 6'7". That's a tall tree running down the field.
He's a tight end. He's not even going to play receiver in the NFL.
Here's the thing. Keon Coleman is probably, when I'm just looking at my list here of wide receivers, like I've got 15 guys. Keon Coleman would be number 15 just at wide receiver.
I think you're crazy, man.
I mean, I'm looking at like, I get it. They're not the same caliber of wide receiver, but I'll take a Ladd McConkey. I'll take a Xavier Leggett. I'll take a Ricky Pearsall. I'll take a lot of guys over Keon Coleman. Listen, when it comes to just purely high pointing of football, it's probably him or Donnie Mitchell. What the Lions offense is built to do is not for big plays. If we want a big play, we got Jamison Williams. If we want to just chuck the ball up, we got a J-Mo. We got to find a way to get him open. We got to find a way for Goff to somehow acquire some arm strength. We're designed to run the football. We're designed to dink and dunk, chip away at you, hit Sam Laporta on 5-6 yard routes, hit Amon-Ra St. Brown for 7-8 yard routes, hit some guys and get open. We're gonna take some time off the clock. We're gonna grind you down. We're not, hey, we're gonna go 4 plays, 75 yards and a touchdown every time. We're just gonna work the field. When I look at Keon Coleman, I definitely don't see an elite route runner. When you're as slow as a parked Oldsmobile, you better be an elite route runner. And I
Steve,
just don't see it from Keon.
the reason why Keon Coleman has zero problem stacking stacking DBs is because he runs the exact same 10-yard split as Justin Jefferson. So we can talk about how slow he is, right? But running fast is not a prerequisite to being a great football player. Being sudden is. And even though he may not have straight line vertical speed, he is sudden. Right. He is crazy uber athletic and he can high point a football. And I would question maybe potentially he may be the best high pointer of a football in this draft coming up here in 2024. On top of that, the dude is just got freak hands in general, right? One-handed catches, man. The dude is a guy who is going to be an absolute threat inside of red zones. And I would say that the Detroit Lions are an offense that's built on making big plays, because big plays aren't just 70-yard touchdowns. Big plays are any plays
Over
per the
20
stat
yards. Over 20 yards.
over 20 yards. And I will tell you that Amon-Ra St. Brown gets a lot of those babies. He gets
Yeah,
a lot of
Sam
those.
Laporta probably has got quite a few in there. Khalif Raymond had some big plays, but
Yeah, chunks.
I don't
We
know.
take it off in chunks a lot of the time.
Keon Coleman just, as a wide receiver, there's so many. This is such a deep wide receiver class that I literally would probably, just looking at the piece of paper I have here in front of me, I got about 12 guys. He's literally last on my list, and just his 40 time. I don't think he's an elite route runner. I don't. So
I'm not drafting him to be an elite route runner. I'm drafting him to do a thing.
We'll go out there and make circus catches.
Your thing is to stretch this defense out vertically, right?
Jameson
and it doesn't.
Williams.
No. That it's not the same though. When Keon Coleman stretches the defense out vertically, it's because he is quick enough in the 10-yard split, right? Because it's rare that off of this line of scrimmage, you're just running 10 yards. That 10-yard sprint is indicative to a release, getting your release, right? So his 10-yard split is the exact same as Justin Jefferson, arguably the best wide receiver in the league right now.
And what makes Justin Jefferson so great? He does everything well. Everything.
I don't think that he does everything well.
He's an elite route runner. He's got elite hands. He's got above average speed. He's not Tyreek Hill. But you're talking about a guy who has probably the best feet in the NFL right now. Well, I mean, I don't have enough to say on Keon Coleman's footwork, but I can't compare him to Justin Jefferson just because they ran the 10-yard split at the same time.
I think it's indicative to getting a release. I think it's indicative to short area quickness. I think short area quickness is more important than running 40 yards. There is very few times where you're going to get a clean release and you're just going to run 40 yards up the field. But there is every single football play you are using small area quickness. Every single football play, especially at the receiver position, you are looking to get a release and get open inside of that 10-yard window, not at 15, not at 20, definitely not at 40 yards. Are you trying to get open? You're trying to get open really probably in that 5-yard window to where that DB can put his hands on you, because after that, he's not allowed to touch you. So at the end of the day, right, I think that Keon Coleman has exactly what he needs to be able to get open. Now, is he going to blow your mind with his top end speed? No. Is he going to be a guy that is going to take the roof off of offenses with his speed and running by guys? No, he's not. But can he stack you at the line of scrimmage? Absolutely he can. Can he catch it over your head? Absolutely he can. Does he demand a double team? I say yes. So to me, while Keon Coleman would not necessarily be my pick at pick 29, do I think that if we picked him, would it be an absolute problem for the NFL? Absolutely. If you're telling me we got Keon Coleman, Amon-Ra St. Brown, we got Sam Laporta, we got Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, we got J-Mo, we got the best offensive line in the NFL. Man, holy.
I'm glad you brought up the getting open, working within 5-10 yards, getting the ball within that range. Okay, I'll take Ladd McConkey, who runs a faster 40-yard time and a faster 10-yard split with hands that are probably just as good. And if that means I got to sacrifice a little bit on a jump ball, I'll take it. End of story.
I mean, that's cool. I just don't think that is necessarily as good of a fit because we need a big body X receiver. He's not bringing that to the table. So now how is he going to eat?
Donovan Peoples-Jones.
What about him?
X receiver.
Okay,
Xavier
so
Leggett. I'll go take Xavier Leggett in round 1. Too.
Okay, I'm glad. So if Donovan Peoples-Jones is on the field, where is Ladd McConkey? Is he stepping in for Amon-Ra St. Brown?
No, I'm saying if we drafted Ladd McConkey, then maybe he could be one of those other guys that could play a slot receiver. Now we just got two little field mice out there that everyone's trying to catch.
So you're not playing Raymond anymore? Raymond is just
Raymond's kind of like he's like a spot receiver. I don't consider him a receiver. He's kind of a guy who could play receiver, but I look at him as more of a kick returner. Yeah, he'll make some plays in the receiving game, but he doesn't really. I mean, what's he get? Like a couple targets a game, if that. Like he's not really like a guy you got a game plan around, but I mean, he can get out there and do some stuff. He's made some big plays.
He's a guy that's holding a roster spot at receiver. Yeah. So are you going to carry, what are you going to carry 6 receivers into the game?
No, probably 5.
You're going to carry 5 receivers in. So you're going to carry.
I never even said I was drafting a receiver.
I'm just saying, if you draft one of these guys, if you draft a guy who can't play X, right? Are you cutting Donovan Peoples-Jones? Like, it's just, now we got to answer some questions because now we're looking like those Houston Texans. We got a bunch of receivers.
If I'm cutting someone, probably going to be Antoine Green.
Yeah, Antoine Green's on the practice squad. He wasn't even in the conversation.
No, I don't need Keon Coleman for what he does. I could find a guy who could do the same thing a lot better within that 10, 15 yard range.
Who?
Ladd McConkey.
No.
I'm not throwing jump balls at 10 yards unless I'm in the red zone.
Exactly. That's where touchdowns are scored. That's where you win money in Super Bowls.
So you want to draft someone just for jump balls in the red zone?
I have other guys to do other things. Do I want to draft a guy to play a certain position for our offense? Absolutely. I want a big body X receiver that can catch jump balls. So when we get down into that goal line, you have to honor them. You can't just line up your DBs and take away inside leverage and keep us away from, getting slant balls, getting in routes, getting drags. You can't just take those away. Now you have to honor those sidelines. Now you gotta answer to those pylons. Yes, absolutely. I want somebody like that because we don't have it. We don't have anybody to throw jump balls to. So if you get Ladd McConkey, you're still not going to have to honor the pylons because DBs can play inside leverage and still be able to jump with him and be able to compete against footballs. But if you're telling me if Keon Coleman gets outside leverage, oh boy, oh baby, and you throw that thing up to him, all 6'4" of them, and that 38-inch vertical, he's going to climb the ladder on you.
Everything you just said, I would rather have a Donnie Mitchell.
Donnie Mitchell and Xavier Leggett do not high point that football like Keon Coleman.
I like the way I said I like the way
Donnie Mitchell. Yeah, that's what I said. Donnie
Mitchell over Keon Coleman. I would just rather take a Donnie Mitchell.
As far as
high pointing the ball in the red zone.
No way.
I think they're 1 and 2. Keon Coleman, you could even give him number 1, but what Donnie Mitchell is going to do in every other aspect of the receiving game is going to be way better than what Keon Coleman does. Better route runner. Obviously faster because I think I'm faster than Keon Coleman, if we're being honest. Get the 40 out. I'll come chug a 6-pack of beer. We'll go run a 40. I'll be in the ballpark of 4.64.
Are you out of your mind?
Ballpark. Off the couch.
Couch. I don't know if you can run a 4.64 20-yard dash.
Off the couch, give me a 4.7. Off the couch, without playing football for 20 years, I'll come in the ballpark of a 4.7.
Stop it immediately.
I'm telling you right now.
Immediately. Listen, my opinion. Keon Coleman. He fits a need for the Detroit Lions. Am I drafting him at 29? Probably not. But if they did, it would make absolute sense. And I think that it would be the absolute upgrade for an offense. To me, if we're talking about just fit for the Detroit Lions, do I think that Keon Coleman fits as far as the guys on the back half of this draft when we're talking about a Donnie Mitchell and we're talking about Xavier Leggett? I think that Keon Coleman fits that big body. He 6'4", 210, like 10-yard, same as Justin Jefferson. Absolute goal line threat, man.
I would not draft Keon Coleman at pick 529.
That's crazy. That's dang near blasphemy. What are we talking about? Are you out of your mind?
I'm dead serious. I'm looking I know I'm not looking you in the eyes, but on camera, I'm looking you in the eyes and telling you Keon Coleman is not even on my draft radar, not even on my board. If I'm in a submarine, he's not even in the same ocean.
Man, that's I don't know, man.
He is the worst. I think he's going to be the worst receiver in this draft class.
I gotta respect your opinion, man, and respect where you're coming from. But I
And
just
it's not even just about the 40 time. It's just everything. Slow, not an elite route runner. Like you have to be elite at something to be that slow.
I
Like
don't think
John Ross. I know that's a name we're probably going to hear a lot of in the comments. Well, John Ross ran a 4.2, 3.40, whatever it was, X amount of years ago. Yeah, John Ross was fast, and that's all he could do. Keon Coleman, all he can really do, in my opinion, is catch contested deep balls.
I disagree, man. I think that he gets open in the NFL, and
But so do
I
a lot
think
of other guys.
and I think that he's gonna have a good NFL career.
When you get open and you catch the football, I need you to break away, not get trucked down by Broderick Martin chasing you from behind. All right.
I don't think that's what we're gonna see.
Well, if you lined up Broderick Martin and you put Keon Coleman next to him and they ran a 40, not that big of a gap.
There's gonna be a huge gap. Broderick Martin's 40 was in the 5s.
Well, Keon Coleman's one sneeze away from being in the 5s.
Stop it. Stop it.
All right, guys.
Listen, Keon Coleman, man, listen, if you wear Honolulu blue, I hope that you come on this show, and I am just going to loop back all of these things that were said.
I'll say it right to him because you know what you've been to Lions games. You know, outside of Ford Field where they have that 40, 40-yard dash time. I've seen 8-year-olds run faster.
Stop it.
But that's uphill on a piece of carpet that's folded up. Like let's just be honest with each other.
Keon, the disrespect is real, man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for this.
I think the disrespect here is to Justin Jefferson even putting them in the same breath.
Their 10-yard split is putting them in the same breath. Nothing I'm saying is doing it. I can't help they run the same yards or the same 10-yard split.
Well, Ladd McConkey ran a 10-yard split faster. So is Ladd McConkey going to be better than Justin Jefferson?
Not a big body like those two guys.
Doesn't need to be. Just need him to catch footballs.
Yeah, he's got to get open.
Tyreek Hill's not a big body.
I'm not asking him to play X receiver and go play jump balls.
He doesn't need to. If you're that fast, you don't have to jump. You just have to catch.
I only got so many spots for that type of receiver.
Well, you make one for a Ladd McConkey who ran a 4.39 with a 1.52 yard split and is, what is he, 6 foot? 6 foot.
Wow. Oh my goodness. 200ths of a second faster.
That's give me two, knock off 2/100ths of a second off my 40 time then.
Yeah, negative.
All right, guys. Difference of opinion here when it comes to Keon Coleman. I think he's as fast as a parked garbage can. Will thinks he's Justin Jefferson 2.0. Let us know whose side you're on. I'm sure most of you will be Team Will because he is a Michigan State kid, kind of, Michigan man in a way.
Leave some comments. Facts.
Leave some comments. Hit that like button if you're new here. Stick around. Subscribe. We'll be back later with some more content.
Peace.